prayed, take this away. Take this away. Take this away. God finally spoke and said, my grace is sufficient. Wanting to please God, he prayed 3 times to get it fixed. And the fix was not in what Paul thought of himself or how he looked to himself. The fix was in God's grace, God's unmerited favor, God's undeserved favor. The fix came when Paul surrendered it over to God and said, look, God, I've tried everything I can. I can't do it. You have to do it. People look at you and ask, well, how did you overcome this? It wasn't me. It was Jesus. My Lord. Now, have you ever in your life had something that you accomplished that you didn't know that you had it in you that you could do? Have you ever been through something that you didn't know how you were going to come out? You look back and say, woo! I don't know how that happened, but it did. Have you ever been in a place? Let me show. I got to demonstrate this. Have you ever been in a place where your back is like this, and you are hemmed in all around? There's nowhere to go behind you, and everything seems to be in front of you, and somehow you walk right out of the midst of it. And I believe that's why some of the old saints could say, my soul looks back and wonders how I got over. But when you come through those situations, it's not you if you know Jesus and you surrender over to him, then it is him that gives you strength in the midst of your trial, in the midst of your tribulation, in the midst of your sickness. When the doctor told you, you ain't recovering from this, and God says, not so, you are coming out. Then his strength welled up in you as you were weak. Sometimes we feel like we can't go on. And yet the next morning we get up anyhow. It's not you. It's Jesus. My God. Oh, I could tell you sometimes. Some of you probably have moments like this and say, I don't even want to get up and go to work. Oh, my God. Many times. Many times. And you drag yourself. Drag yourself. And then sometimes when you get there, all of a sudden you don't know how, but you get some energy to make it through the day. Have you ever been a blessing to somebody while you're in the midst of hurt? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, I could write a book on that. I remember when I started in ministry, and a minister told me one time, he says, you know what? Sometimes the longest walk you're going to take is from that chair to that desk. He says, but you'll have to walk it anyhow. Oh, my God. He says, and you might have to go home and lay there and let God put salve and bandages all over your body. But somebody will be blessed. And some of those times when I thought, oh, I can make it today, that was the day that nothing happened. And there have been days when I said, I don't want to go there, God. I don't want to preach today, God. I don't want to say anything from God. And those are the days that the Spirit would come through, and it would be like you draw back into yourself, and the next thing you know, the anointing has fallen not just on everybody, but on you. And then you go home, and you might have to turn up and say, Lord, I don't know where that came from. I'm still hurting. But Lord, down in my soul, I feel all right because you got me through it. It wasn't about me. It was about you. You see, if we make him our priority, sometimes when we don't have any strength, he gets strong in us. In fact, that's when he does his best work. When we take our hands out of it, when we take our hands off of it, when we stop trying to fix it, when we say, okay, God, I've done everything sometimes in the midst of our weakness, somebody gets the testimony. That's right. Somebody gets the testimony in seeing what God can do. And when he sees what God can do, come on up, baby. I don't care. That's what he's fine. He's fine. Having a flashback moment when my daughter was that small. But you see, here's the thing. You see, when we get to the place where we can let go and let God, and it ain't easy. And I tell you no lie, it ain't easy, but it's something we have to learn how to do. And when we let go and God takes over, then people look at, I saw you going through this, I saw you going through that. But in the midst of it, I'm looking at how God blessed. Yeah. I'm looking at how God blessed. In the midst of your trial, in the midst of your circumstance, in the midst of you having nothing, you didn't miss anything. In the midst of you being sick, you felt well. In the midst of you crying, you could smile. And sometimes have a good belly laugh in the midst of it. My God. Oh, let me tell you. It is no secret what God can do. If you surrender even your weakest moments over truth. Sometimes we have the thought of saying that we don't want to turn certain things over to God, but God needs it all. Somebody will be blessed by your testimony. Oh, I was going to pick him up. Let's see. Somebody would be blessed by your testimony. Because if you allow his strength to come up in you, then it's not about you. It's about him. Oh my God. Because let me tell you, if it's about us, then somebody's going to look at you and say, I can't do what you do. Now, I might be the size of some football players, but I can't do that. Not even going to try. I'm going to do what I can do. And what I know how to do is surrender to God. The mere fact that I can stand here in front of you is a miracle to God. Why? Because I'm classified as an introvert and a loner. And in school, I wish some of my teachers were alive to tell you, I never said anything. Simply because I was frightened to death to be in front of the class. And yet here I stood in this place for 31 and a half years and have done it in other places and have preached for the last 42 years. It's not me that's done it because I'm frightened to death every time I stand up. But let me tell you what happens when I stand up. It's not me who stands, because that little scared Walter A. Jackson III wants to hide behind that desk. But it's Jesus that stands up in me. And as long as Jesus stands up in me, then his message will come out and not mine. Because if my message will come out, then nobody gets blessed. But it has to be about him. Quiet when you sing. Don't worry about whether Edwin notices God is walking out to him. Ushers, when you usher, don't worry about whether you in step with the person walking next to you. You just do it to the glory of God. Deacons, and I know y'all pray, but when y'all pray, what I'm hearing is God speaking like he did this morning through the person that's speaking. We don't have to be perfect to do it. We just have to surrender to do it. And when we as believers start believing that, then other folks are going to look at us and say, I want what you've got. And you can say, it ain't me. It's Christ. It's his strength in me You never see me looking down my nose on anybody. Because if somebody could look down their nose on me, and I'm so glad God didn't look down his nose on me. Thank you, Jesus. But Fish filled me up and dipped me in the blood that he shed on Calvary. And one day will present me forth before his throne. My God. And when I get there, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. If it hasn't been for you, where would I be? I'm going to extend the